Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Breifne and you are listening to episode 152 of the channel. It's the first Faces and Places of 2020 and we are talking about an event that is coming up in Carrick-on-Shannon on the 12th of February called Leitrim's Health is Wealth. Now, a few months back at the end of last year, around about Halloween in late October, a full load took to the seas and lakes of Lough Gill, not quite the seas, but the lakes of Lough Gill, to hear all about Leitrim's Health is Wealth. The event organisers Hubert, McHugh and Valerie Cogan shared with us all about what's going to be happening in the Landmark Hotel on the evening of the 12th of February. Everything kicks off around 7 p.m, but back then they assembled a good crew of former Leitrim People of the Year and some of the special guests who will be appearing on the day. Now, today we're going to hear from some of those guests when we met them back last October. We will, of course, be speaking to Hubert McHugh and Valerie Cogan, who we did speak to for a full episode late last year. The link will be in the description on our website. Well, we'll also hear from the Cathaoirleach of Leitrim County Council, Enda McGloin, their special guest, Sonny Kelly, and also from Nuala and Mary, representing the Northwest Hospice, one of the charities attached to the event. We're going to start with the event organisers themselves, Hubert and Valerie, and they're going to tell us all about Leitrim's Health is Wealth. Make sure you put it in your diary. Now the crowds have started to disperse a little bit after what was a lovely event, and I'm joined by the two organisers of Leitrim's Health is Wealth, Valerie Cogan and Hubert McHugh. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Breifne. Yeah, it was a wonderful launch and very happy with how it went and the large turnout for it, and you know, it's really, we're very happy with it.
You picked a fabulous location. Valerie, do you want to tell us a little bit about where we are and why we're here?
Well, at the minute we're standing on the Rose of Innisfree boat down at Parks' Castle here in County Leitrim. We took a lovely spin out around Dooney Rock and out around the lake. We stayed to the Leitrim side of the lake for the launch, and it's beautiful down here. It'd do your heart good to be down here.
Because I've been on the boat before and you always head for Sligo, so it was lovely to see the other side of the lake. Was that a conscious decision, Hubert?
No, I think George and his son and Tina decided to take the Leitrim side in. No, we have great. Sligo has been very good to me. I've worked from Sligo for the last 45 years, and I suppose it would be our natural shopping town and everything, so we're very close to Sligo.
And I'm from Sligo, so I can't rule it out.
Tell us again, because we've had you on the show obviously before this talking about the event, but just remind us all about what exactly is going to be happening on February the 12th.
Well, the seminar, it's in the Landmark Hotel. Doors open at 6:30. The seminar starts at 7. We have wonderful guest speakers. Paul Williams is our MC. We have Michael Harding. We have Father Brian Darcy. We have Dr. Ed O'Mahony. And we have Sean Cahan. And we have Catherine Corliss, Valerie Cox, Gemma Willis and Nicole Owens. All brilliant speakers in their own right, all with a personal story to tell.
And of course it's completely free.
It's a totally free event, the same it has been every year, and it's very important to us that we kept it a free event, that there was no barrier to anybody attending. Everybody is welcome, and we hope to fill the Landmark Central on the 12th of February.
Now, we've heard all day about how this is the fourth and final event. Is that a cast iron? Will you come back out of retirement for number 5 in 2021?
No, I think we're very definite that this is the last Leitrim's Health as well. So if you miss it on the 12th of February, you miss it.
Okay, well listen, the very best of luck. I'm sure if today isn't to go by on a cold October Halloween morning, it's going to be a fabulous event. It's going to be absolutely packed.
Thank you, and thank you for coming, and thank you for the support in the past, and wish you well with your new venture as well.
Sonny Kelly, you're the special guest today here at the launch of Leitrim's Health is Wealth. You spoke about your sister losing her life last year, and it seemed quite emotional for you. Why are these events important to you?
Well, I suppose it was emotional because I hadn't intended speaking about that. You know, I do so many functions that I never quite know what the core of the subject matter is. And I suppose coming here today, I didn't understand that it was about suicide and mental health in general. And when I heard everybody else speaking, I felt it would be wrong to be at the function as a special guest and not mention the sad, tragic death of my sister Barbara just over a year ago. She lived not far from here. So that's why, and I suppose it's important for people to talk about it, isn't it? And to create more awareness of all the many people suffering.
In terms of exactly that suffering you spoke about, how important are events like these?
Very important to create awareness, because like as you see today, there's quite a lot of media here, and then that's how we get the word out there. Although I'm not directly involved in any aspect of mental health other than on a personal level. My sister, as I spoke about, and then I have a daughter with special needs, Barbara. And so it's personal to me. So it is important for me to do something, give something back, because, in Barbara's case, my daughter, I get a lot of help with her, and this is just a way of me to do something to say thank you.
On the night itself, what have you got planned? Will you be singing a few songs?
Well, hopefully. I'm not sure if I can make it. Hubert just asked me now, so I need to go home and check the diary. But anywhere I go, I generally sing a few songs, I didn't today, but of course they kept the bar closed, and that's never a help when you want to sing a few songs.
Well, listen, Sonny, thank you very much. I'm going to let you off because it's cold.
It's lovely to meet you. I'm actually going to pick up my daughter at the resource centre. Lovely to talk to you.
Now, one of the partners of Leitrim's Health is Wealth is the Northwest Hospice, and there will be a fundraising raffle on the night with all the proceeds going to that fantastic charity based in the northwest of Ireland. And I'm joined by Nuala and Mary from Northwest Hospice. But girls, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and we're delighted to be here on the beautiful shore of Lough Gill.
Now, would you be on the Leitrim side of the shore or the Sligo side of the shore? I need to know if I can actually chat to you today on the show.
Well, I'm strictly Sligo, but I used to live here for 5 years, so I think that qualifies me. I'm all right. I'm all right. And I think Nuala's all right, who's actually originally from Mayo.
I'm a Mayo lady, yes.
Well, you got your visas today anyway, so it all checks out. Girls, tell us a bit about the work that the Northwest Hospice do.
Well, we care for patients with life-limiting conditions. We care for them with their symptoms in the life, and I suppose our focus is on quality of life. We care for them, make sure that they can live as well as they possibly can for as long as they possibly can. So our charity, we do get some funds from the HSE, but we need over €1 million every year fundraising to actually go towards running our service. So that's why the support that we're getting from Hubert and Valerie in this event is hugely appreciated.
In terms of the overall impact events like this can have on the running of the Northwest Hospice, how important are events like this around the area for your organisation?
Well, again, we wouldn't really simply have a service. So we have approximately 30 to 40 staff that we pay from fundraising, and they work on the front line caring for patients and providing services. So for example, we have a community palliative care team with over 100 patients that they care for on a monthly basis, and then we have our inpatient unit, which overall our activity has increased by over 40% in the last 10 or 11 years. So obviously with the service and the activity increasing, we also need to increase our resources. So we're very, very dependent on fundraising. And as I said, the HSE does help us, but we are very, very dependent on the fundraising. So events like this are hugely important to us, but it's also very important that we acknowledge that there's lots of very worthy charities in the areas. So it's really good when we are the recipients of this. And I guess also, I suppose, while palliative care may be different to mental health, there is probably correlations, because part of our work would also be to care for people, the psychological side of people's illnesses and learning to deal with their life-limiting condition. So we do also rely on the supports of the mental health service. So while they're not quite the same, there would be some similarities where we would lean on each other, and then likewise mental health would come to us for some of their patients. People with mental health also can have life-limiting conditions. They have other non-chronic conditions like cardiac failure and stroke and all the other conditions that we deal with, and also we deal with obviously advanced cancer patients. So therefore mental health patients also need our services, and likewise our services need mental health. So we really, really appreciate, and obviously Hubert and Valerie to us have been huge supporters over the years, massive supporters over many, many years. And this year we very much wanted to acknowledge all that they have done for us. So we decided that we needed to acknowledge that not just locally, but we also wanted it to be acknowledged nationally. So therefore we nominated Valerie and Hubert to be Northwest Hospice Heroes for 2019, and they were awarded with an award in May of this year. So it was just something small, but it's an acknowledgement for the Northwest Hospice to them. So they remain our Hospice Heroes for 2019.
It's funny, I was actually thinking of questions to ask you, Mary, and as we've gone through them, Nuala has answered them all one after the other, almost telepathically. In terms of the day-to-day, how important is it to have people like Hubert and Valerie on board as hospice heroes, and what does that role involve, or is it really just to raise awareness of what you do?
Oh, they are vitally important. Without people like Valerie and Hubert, as Nuala said, through our fundraising and through them creating awareness, there would be no hospice service, because as Nuala mentioned, 1.3 million a year is what we've got to raise. And Hubert and Valerie came on board with us a few years ago, and it was by pure accident we bumped into each other. Hubert was looking after a week-long novena, and at the end of that week-long novena they did a fundraiser, and they had a get-together, and they gave the funds of that to the hospice. And then I got chatting to Hubert, and then he was doing another event up in Carrick-on-Shannon, and he said, we weren't sure, but now that we've talked to you, we're going to do it yourselves in the Kidney Association. And since that it's just grown. But Hubert is so hugely admired and loved by his community, and I've worked with Hubert here and in America. He is just huge. He's going to be a huge loss when he retires, absolutely, to the service. I've been with Hubert in meetings, and he'll take a phone call, and it might be to support a family or it might be to support a patient. He's never off duty. Valerie is just incredible in that she does all the background work, and she gets all the... Hubert is not technically minded in any shape. He can make a phone call and take a phone call, but don't ask him to. Valerie is the woman that keeps them on the straight and narrow. So as a team, they're incredibly brilliant. They will be a huge loss, but we are delighted to have them supporting us, so they're brilliant.
You're letting out all the secrets of behind the curtain. You shouldn't be doing that. But listen, girls, thanks very much for chatting to us.
I'll just finally say that it's a huge loss to mental health that Hubert is leaving. But as a hospice, we're going to take that as an opportunity, and we're going to have Hubert on board to do more for us. Yes, so he'll be kept very busy. Yeah.
Well, listen, girls, thanks very much. And I'll let you get back to the warm boat inside.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councillor Enda McGloin, Chairman of Leitrim County Council, you join us once again. We're here on the shores of Lough Gill, you were launching the Leitrim's Health is Wealth event. It's not till next February, but we're getting an early jump on the affairs.
Well, that's important, because it's important to build up momentum from a PR point of view to ensure, you can see the way the numbers have developed. It was 300 up to 500, 700. So obviously it's a key part of PR to get the word out there, to get those dates in the diary for everybody. So I'm glad to be here to be associated with the launch, and hopefully we'll get a huge crowd this year again. And well done to Hubert and Valerie for pressing on again another year with this initiative.
How important are events like this on the calendar in County Leitrim?
Well, it's exceptionally important. As I mentioned earlier in my speech, mental health issues are all around us, and I quoted from Alan Quinlan, the rugby player. He says, never judge the book by the cover. And I think that's the most poignant point that you can make, because anybody around us could be suffering inwardly and we don't know it, so we can't judge the face by the cover, and therefore it's important that somebody somewhere will go there, be it a family member, the person themselves that's in a bad place, and learn from it, and perhaps change their way, change their mood, change their mind. And this is a hugely important issue, and it helps families of people who have mental health. And I'm just so glad that Hubert and Valerie are continuing on the road of Leitrim's Health is Wealth, and hopefully that will be a big plus for a lot of people who will attend on that day.
In terms of the group of people that are here today, there's one current and two other former Leitrim People of the Year recipients here. This is a high profile event in the county every year.
Absolutely, and I think fair play to both Hubert and Valerie for getting such good names here to the event in February. They've mentioned a few there already, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. And obviously it's an issue that drives a lot of people to ensure that their date is free on the 12th. You've mentioned the Leitrim Persons of the Year. And when I was speaking earlier, I talked a lot about volunteerism, and what Hubert and Valerie doing are volunteers. Northwest Hospice is volunteers. Anything good in society in County Leitrim, it's a huge amount, is volunteers. And people who give up of their spare time, and that can never be calculated in terms of wealth. And that's very, very important that that's fostered, I think, in terms of the people that are here. You've Noel McPartland, Willie Donlan and Hubert McHugh themselves have all given of their lives so much to their communities. And for that reason, it's good to have them there. And this year is Noel's year, and I'm glad that he's been chosen. I work a lot with him in Drumshanbo in terms of the food hub and what the community council does. And he's devoted to the community. He's given all of his retired life to it, and indeed during his working life. So it's important that in the context of this, because we need volunteers to help to ensure that they drive this particular initiative, to drive the likes of Northwest Hospice. So I'm glad that there's 3 former and current members of the Leitrim Hall of Fame or then Persons of the Year.
Well, Enda, listen, I'm going to let you go because it's a cold day here on the shores of Lough Gill in November, almost.
Well, it's dry, and I was taking the point, it'll lift your heart here, coming down to Drumahare, and it's like some part of Vermont or something in the northern states of America, to see the most fabulous colours in the trees. It's the most uplifting part of County Leitrim, I have to say that, and it's a tribute to Hubert to choose here, and to George and Tina's boat, which is a fantastic resource here at Lough Gill, and well done to everybody involved. It's a great location, and I'm glad to be here.
And that, folks, is all we have time for today. Thank you so much to all of our guests today for talking to us back in October about the event, which happens in 5 or 6 weeks' time, the 12th of February in Carrick-on-Shannon. It's going to be a phenomenal night, and it has outgrown its original home in the Bush Hotel, so a big crowd is expected. Make sure it's in your diary, and make sure you tell anyone you feel needs to be there. It's a night all about mental health and about talking and opening up and sharing your experiences of good and bad mental health, and making it more normal to talk about these kind of subject matters, which some of us really, really struggle to do on a regular basis. I know I'm going to be there. I hope to see you all there. The 12th of February, we will be talking about it between now and then on our event guide, which of course happens every Thursday here on the programme. That's all we have time for today. So thank you very much to Hubert, Valerie, Sandy, Enda McGloin, and to Nuala and Mary from the Northwest Hospice. I've been Breifne Early. This has been Faces and Places from last October at the launch of Leitrim's Health is Wealth. I'll be back tomorrow with a profile on one of Leitrim's finest ever footballers. Mickey Martin's going to be with me for half an hour chat about his career, life and times in the white and blue of St Mary's, and also the green and gold of County Leitrim, as well as other things he got up to during his life so far. That's tomorrow. I will talk to you then.